Hello and welcome to the next video on this channel. My name is Peps and today I welcome you to a review to the biggest show in Japanese wrestling in the last 2+ decades, if not even longer. We are talking about Wrestle Kingdom 20 from New Japan Pro Wrestling in the Tokyo Dome. We had over 45,000 fans in attendance for a sold-out show, for a show that, just giving my little perspective, I'm recording this just right after the show, was just special. Because in the main event, we had the retirement of Hiroshi Tanahashi. And to take this away early, it was incredible to just see the legend in Japanese pro wrestling retire right in front of our eyes on the screen. He is just special. I don't think anyone, including myself, would have watched the show or would have watched New Japan in the first place if it wasn't for the Tanahashi saving the company back in the 2010s, or 2000s and 2010s. Together with Okada, of course, then they created this big hype around this promotion in the 2012 to 2015 that started to get onto a next level once Kenny Omega and Bullet Club entered the picture as well. So for me, Wrestle Kingdom is always a special place in my schedule. I always build around my sleeping schedule, what I'm doing on the very specific day around Wrestle Kingdom, because Wrestle Kingdom is for me what for many others WrestleMania is, for example, or for AEW fans All In. It's just a special place in my pro wrestling fandom. I don't think I could survive a year without Wrestle Kingdom, so I was really looking forward to that. My feeling coming into the show was, I'm super hyped. It's the most hyped I've been for a show in ages, maybe ever, because Tanahashi, I just wanted to see Tanahashi retire, and I just wanted to see a sold out Tokyo Dome. It's something I haven't seen since I started watching wrestling in 2018. Well, it's something I would assume that no one of us has seen live. Right? In terms of wrestling, maybe in other things, in other sports, one concerts. And the last Tokyo Dome event that was sold out is 20 years ago now. It's insane to see what achievement Tanahashi has achieved here. And with that, we have 7 matches on the main card, 2 matches on the pre-show. In this video, we will talk about every single one of them. I will try to go into detail as much as I can, but of course, I want to save the most time for the main event because we have a lot to unpack there. With that, we are opening up with the first match on the show. We have the pre-show tag team match as Katsuya Morishima and Masatora Yasuda defeat Shomakato and Tetsuya Matsumoto in a really fun young line opening match. This went around 6 minutes, and it was just a fun pre-show match to present the company's future. Those 4 guys will be established at least mid to upper mid card, if not even main event. Is all about how they, of course, perform in the next couple of years and showcasing them on a big show like this in the Tokyo Dome in front of 45,000 people. Well, even though somewhere there in the venue, so I would at least assume it's at least 30,000. It's just cool to see. And it's also important for these wrestlers to sink in the atmosphere, to see, okay, this is what I want to aim for. I want to be in the main event of a Tokyo Dome show with 45,000 plus people in there, and I want to work hard to get there. So this match was kind of good from that perspective as well. In the end, it was Murashima who got the win with his Boston Crab, which was a cool moment for him. He is just great. He was one of the last tag team partners, so to speak, or seconds of Tanahashi. So him getting this moment in Tokyo Dome was just a cool moment to see. He's great. He's already so good at his age of 25. He's now, I think, 2 years into wrestling, and I would assume that he's one of the next 2 guys to go on Excursion. Speaking of going to Excursion, post-match, backstage, Masatora Yasuda said he wants to go to Excursion, I believe, and he should be getting one soon, because I've been talking about this for a while, ever since the G1 Climax, I believe, where he teamed up with Taichi, where they teased, okay, we want to have one last singles match together, and then we're going to Excursion. And he is, of course, the obvious advantage compared to others that his father was a pro wrestler in Mexico, and he was born in Mexico as well. So him going to Excursion is very interesting. Murashino on the other side teased similar for a bit now, and I think he did backstage as well. Those two will absolutely be the next two to go Excursion. I would assume it will be Murashima first and then Yasuda next, but it wouldn't be shocking if both of them just say at New Year's Dash, hey, look, this is my last match for the next, 1.5 years. I'm out of here, similar to what the Knockout Brothers did back when they were young lions. The next match on the pre-show was a New Japan Television Championship match. El Fantasma defense against Chris Brooks. And first of all, I need to say, Chris Brooks wrestling on the biggest Wrestle Kingdom show of all time is just a great story to begin with. He came over to Japan before the pandemic, stayed during it in DDT, became a legit top guy in the company, and all his hard work gave him the opportunity as the only outsider, only outsider who is working in Japan full-time to wrestle in the Tokyo Dome. Of course, we have, we come to them later, like names like Andrade, Okada, and what's his name? Takeshi, of course, but they are different cases compared to Chris Brooks, who pretty much has nothing going on for him, like Kazuchika Okada obviously has, or Takeshi with his star power. Personally, I was not really excited for the match itself. I don't really like El Fantasma's wrestling style. I think Chris Brooks can be good, but sometimes he isn't. So I was expecting not much, and I think I got pretty much exactly what I expected from them. Like, it was a match of two halves. The first half was like very slowly worked. It took a lot of time to get to an interesting phase, with Brooks, for example, bringing in some DDT flavor to the match with the rubber band spot, which just fits his vibe and what he represents in wrestling, which is funny because I don't think the New Japan audience or like fans aware of the show have ever seen that before. Once they just started to spam their moves, I think it got a lot better, and I got interested in it, and so did the crowd. In the end, it was El Fantasma who won the match in a solid 9-minute pre-show match. Nothing really to complain about, I personally would have hoped they went for a 10-minute spot fest, but I can understand they want to tell their own little story in the Tokyo Dome. A solid defense for El Fantasma here. I'm just waiting until he loses the belt, to be completely honest with you. I think it's time for someone else to take the spot, and I think a lot of other wrestlers can do much better things with this belt than he can, which is, slightly a knock against him, to be honest. But he's just, how can I say it in a nice way? He's just so whatever to me as a wrestler that I barely cared. Next up, we have the Never Wait 6-man tag team title Rambo match. We have so many teams in there, like 8 teams. We have the champions, Master Toriano and Yo. Then we have the first challengers, Ryusuke Taguchi, Tiger Mask, Togi Makabe. Then we have Kaisa Takeshi, Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura. Then we have Bishamon, Bolton Oleg, Team 100, Satoshi Kojima Taichi, together with Tomohiro Ishii, House of Torches, Ren Narita, Sanada, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Team DK's Hartley Jackson, Ryohei Oiwa, Zack Sabre Jr., and the Bullet Club Warlocks, Clark Connors, Asuka, Yuto, Ice. The match was opened by Kaisa Takeshi's entrance, including the Rampage, who sang along and danced with him. And it was a great first entrance to Wrestle Kingdom 20. This just tells you everything you need to know about how of a big star he is. Like, for those who don't know Kaisa Takeshi, he's a DDT wrestler who is also a J-pop idol, I would say. And right now in pro wrestling, and I'm not kidding you, he is a top 3, top 5 draw in the Tokyo region right now. Whenever he's wrestling on a show for DDT, the show is either completely sold out or drew a monster number. This guy is legitimately the hero for a lot of women, and they have come to the show, to the DDT shows, and just to watch him. For example, the day before, he had a great 6-man title match in DDT, and the Hurricane was sold out and packed until the roof. They enter first together with the House of Torture trio of Ren Narita, Sanada, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and I think that's kind of fit to throw in the heels first to face off against the super trio baby faces with Uemura, Takeshi and Shota Umino. The next team that entered were the Naka brothers, and they were followed then by TMDK. And of course, they had a little bit of interactions together as they are facing off tomorrow for the IWGP Tag Team titles in the main event of New Year's Dash. Here, it was Rohei Oiwa who got the upper hand as he eliminates Asuka by throwing him with a lariat over the top rope. With that, the Knockout Brothers and Clark Connors were eliminated first. Then we had Tiger Mask, Ryusuke Taguchi, Toki Makabe entering, followed by Bishamon and Bolton Oleg. Now, for around 3 more minutes of wrestling, Bolton then eliminated Tiger Mask 4 to eliminate the whole team. And shortly after, Taichi, Ishii, and Satoshi Kojima entered the ring, and they were eliminated shortly after, together with Yuya Uemura, as Yuya and Taichi got themselves both eliminated, a double elimination, and then we are down to 4 teams. As the last team entered, Master Wata, Toru Yano, and Yo. Yo had cosplay of Toru Yano for some reason. Don't question it. It's Yo. You don't need to question anything Yo does because you will never understand it. I don't even think Yo understands what he's doing. The champions and House of Torture did some silly stuff and then got eliminated. So with that, both being eliminated, including champions, we're officially getting new champions. It was between the team of TMDK and Bishamon and Bolton Oleg. And after around 3 or 4 minutes of really good wrestling, Zack Sabre Jr. beats Bolton Oleg and wins the title for TMDK. And this was a great move, just for the sole reason of, first of all, Oiwa gets his first belt in New Japan, which I'm really happy for. Zack Sabre Jr. gets a belt where he can main event Hurricane Holds with and just has a lot of fun matches. And the most importantly, Hartley Jackson becoming a champion in New Japan. Him winning a title on the biggest Wrestle Kingdom event of all time is a story for itself. A guy who basically has been working everywhere in Japan for years. Doesn't matter if it's in front of 10 fans, doesn't matter if it's in front of 500. This guy worked his ass off. Him getting to New Japan in the first place was a big shock. Like, if you told Hartley Jackson back in 2023, like I think he got his deal in 2024, but like if you ask him 2023, when he was mainly in Glade doing some stuff as Black Generation International and was working like Gunboy Pro, that he would wrestle on a Wrestle Kingdom show and win a title there, he would call you crazy. And I think every fan of his would call you crazy. Him winning this belt is just so cool to see. I'm super happy for him. This dude just deserves it. He's one of the nicest guys from everything I've heard about him. And he really wanted to get on the show, and him getting this moment is just great. I'm super happy for him. The match itself was whatever, really, to be honest with you. It was the typical match of, okay, let's get everyone on the card. And the stipulation was kind of wild in a bad way, to be honest with you. Like, everyone coming in at the same time was like, okay, we don't really have anything going on for pretty much like ages. It was just, okay, move. I would have personally preferred, and I just don't think they would have had the time for that, if they, instead of sending in one after another, they would have sent in, okay, 2 teams wrestling against each other, one team gets eliminated, and so on and so forth. I think that would have been much more interesting and way more, or like way better for the match flow than whatever they did. Personally, I would at least say so. So I would say, right winners, cool story with Hartley Jackson. Match itself was whatever, you can skip it. 20 minutes was definitely way too long for it. The next match is the women's match on the card. IWGP Women's Title X New Japan Strong Women's Double Title Match. Shuri against Saya Kamitani. And coming into this match, we had obviously joked I at least joked in a preview, and a lot of people did on Twitter, okay, this match will go like 5 minutes at most, and whatever. And I was like, okay, they can only surprise us, especially after what they have told on the story, on the English commentary. They were like, yeah, Kamitani had this brutal match against Saori Ano, and it's unsure how long she can compete, and of course mentioned that she was pulled from a press conferences were planned from Stardom because she wasn't banked up. So they made it very clear, okay, she isn't at 100% in coming into the match, and it will play their role in the result. As after 12 minutes, Shuri defeats Saya Kamitani to become the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. And I thought this match was pretty fun, especially for the time given, as Kamitani and Shuri basically were the hard-working 5-star GP sprint-style match in Tokyo Dome, and they got the crowd by the end really into it. Like, this was the hardest a New Japan crowd has been for a women's match, like, ever. And they should be very proud of that. Obviously, as someone who enjoys Kamitani and Shuri and has seen them much longer and much better matches and also much better environment for them, I wanted more, because we're talking about two of the absolute best women that pro wrestling has to offer right now. But situations matter, and you can be really proud of them and what they have achieved to get a spot like this on the Wrestle Kingdom card. You should be proud of them. They did everything in their power to make this just work. 12 minutes is the longest we have seen a Wrestle Kingdom women's match to go. Like, the last couple of matches were sub 10. So them going so long is like long in question, like okay, long, right? Just is really cool to see. I'm super happy for them. Shuri winning in the end is interesting. In the Stardom lore, just as the Dream Queendom story was like establishing that Hayes is the unbeatable force in Stardom and the babyface need to step up. Now, not even a week later, Shuri beats Kamitani to take away one of the belts, and she did it clean in the middle of the ring. And it wasn't on a Stardom show, it wasn't on a New Japan show. Of course, we had the story with that unlike Shuri, Saya Kamitani was in a big time match at Stardom True Queendom. With that was, of course, not at 100%. And it tells you that she isn't as undeniable on top of Stardom in terms of like a kayfabe perspective as many assume she is. She is beatable on the right day. And they showed that here. And it's cool for Shuri because she's someone who hasn't really gotten a lot of shine, I would say, in Stardom. She is like, how can I say this? She has not really been doing much for the past couple of years, ever since she has dropped the world title to Julia during 2022. Of course, she had the little IWGP title reign, but that was pretty much a V1 where she dropped it to Shuri, and it was pretty much, okay, we don't want to run Sari versus Iwatani, but instead we wanted to get the last win over the Iwatani from our own wrestlers, which made totally sense. Then Shuri, of course, dropped the belt, won in our bag, and defended it here at Wrestle Kingdom, and she's pretty much established now as a double champion, as I would say as pretty much a Samoa Joe type of wrestler in the Stardom context. And I said it in a pre-show, I think, as well, where she pretty much can defeat everyone, but also can lose to everyone and makes her matches pretty much interesting because she can challenge for any given title at any given point and can just win it. But she also can lose it in the next defense. And you need these kind of wrestlers on the roster. You can't only have dominant wrestler and you can't only have losers. You need people in between. And Kamitani is like perfect for that, in my opinion. So I would say they achieved their goal here of furthering the story of Saya Kamitani inside Stardom, but also not making her look bad by protecting her with she worked the other match as well, but also continuing to establish, which has been the case for nearly a decade now, what Shuri's role in Stardom is. Another thing I want to mention is, what stood out to me was the reactions of the Stardom wrestlers inside the ring and outside the ring during the women's match. Saya and Shuri seemed so emotional during the matches. Their stables, God's Eye, Hate on the outside, were just supporting them and being really happy. And Micah, as the babyface ace and commentator, was in tears after the match. This company and the wrestlers inside of it support each other and want to root for them because everyone knows we need to pull together on the same string if we want to be successful. And that is the biggest strength that Stardom has. These stars care about each other. Maybe they are not all backstage friends, and of course they're still fighting about the same shows, about the same positions on the shows. But they all know that if the others are doing well, I will ultimately do better. And I think that is a really important thing to realize, because it helps the entire company. And that is part of the reason why Stardom is at the position they are right now. And it is always something really cool to see. Backstage, Sayaka Mitani announced that she will take a break from in-ring competition, but will be back for the World of Stardom title defense against Starlight Kid on February 7th. And I would assume, based on everything they've said, that she has a legit injury. I don't know really what it is. It could be like anything. Maybe she's just banged up and needs a little bit of a break, because Stardom and Kamitani knows that she is going to be the big focal point of at least another year. Maybe even if she isn't a champion, right? Like, she will always be in the focal point for the next year. And her story is the overarching thing that keeps the company together right now. So giving her a break for a month where Stardom can sell their Hurricanes with other stuff, and she's then still back for the big show against Starlight Kid, is understandable, from the sense of, if she needs a break, give it to her, because otherwise it could get much, much worse. Like, the worst thing that could happen for Stardom right now is if Sayaka Mitani just completely breaks apart and can't wrestle anymore because she's too injured and needs to vacate a red belt. So keeping her protected a little bit and saving her, from a bigger injury is a good decision. It would be interesting to see how the red belt will be now, because Starlight Kid pretty much needs to build up the match on her own without having any kind of support. Like, the only support she has pretty much is if Sayaka Mitani responds in Tokyo Sports or on Twitter. I don't think Sayaka Mitani will be long at every show in the middle of nowhere. So Starlight Kid needs to figure out, how do I sell this match on my own? Which kind of sucks for her, but it's Starlight Kid. I think she will be able to get this done really well. And I would assume at least at one of the Hurricanes of the 4 that Stardom has here, Sayaka Mitani will appear in some shape or some form and will be helping to build up this match. Moving on to match number 3. And here we have the 10-man tag team match between the Bullet Club War Dogs, David Finlay, Drilla Maloney, Gabe Kidd, together with unaffiliated Rumo Takashi and Shingo Takagi, against the United Empires, Andrade Lilo, Callum Newman, Reto Khan, Hinare, and X. First, the War Dogs entered the ring, with David Finlay being the clear standout star with his machine gun. He looked really, really cool there. You gotta say this. He just looked awesome. He is the dude. Like, he should be getting a big push in 2026 if he stays in the company. I at least hope so. Of course, we had the rumors that he is hoping to land a deal in America, but we never know, because we have hearing this about not only Finlay, but a lot of wrestlers for like the last couple of years. So I'm not always taking this too serious. But we know how news work these days. Then United Empire entered the ring with Callum Newman first, Great Khan, Hinare, Andrade, who had a tremendous look, and then X. And X turned out to be, after a long intro, as the returning Jake Lee, who with that turns against the Bullet Club War Dogs to join the United Empire. And during the entrance and during the match itself, and during whatever happens later, he's clearly presented as the one pulling the strings behind the United Empire, which was what Callum Newman mentioned. In my preview, I mentioned him as a possibility. I was kind of like unsure whether it would really fit to him to do the turn like that, but they pulled it off nicely. The reveal was seen with big pops by the crowd at first, but also a little bit of shock. Jake Lee is always a controversial name, but we'll come to that later. The match itself totally over-delivered big time. And it was a lot of fun with all 10 men trying hard with just non-stop action. They used every single minute they have had pretty much in this match and just had a super fun outing. I especially loved the Finlay and Hiromu tag team combinations that they did together because it's just entertaining to see them throw each other around. Gabe Kidd and Andrade had fun interaction as well. And Jake Lee and Hinari both looked good in their returns. And I think overall, it achieved its goal of making the United Empire stable look good. In the end, it was Jake Lee who pinned Hiromu Takahashi after the FBS with a very cocky pin to win the match for the team. He was clearly presented as the number one choice for the United Empire here. And pretty much everything is now going to be built around him. He's going to receive a big push as he is trying to capture the IWGP World Heavyweight title to take this away, as he wants to join the list of wrestlers who held the Triple Crown belt, the GHG Heavyweight title, and the IWGP title, so the Puro Grand Slam. And one day, I think he will do it, and it will be glorious to see. After the match, we also had the return of Francesco Akira, who super kicked Hiromu Takahashi, and with that, seemingly will also be a heel member of the stable. It will be interesting because over the last couple of months before his injury, he was a really, really, really good babyface, and he had the crowd really behind him the whole time. So seeing him as a heel will be just great. It will be just great to see. It will be just great to see how he works out as a heel. It's definitely now not his role that I would say you would want him to be based on his looks and everything, but you know, it will be interesting. I hope he pulls it off. I think if he pulls it off, his potential is limitless in the company. He, as the only really junior in the stable to get with Danger to why, but he's kind of like whatever. I'm interested to see what he's going to do as a heel. Then we go on to, in my opinion, the disappointment of the show. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight title number one contender 4-way match. Taiji Shimori, El Desperado, Sho, and Kosei Fujita face off in the game that Doki has designed for them. One of the wrestlers is going to challenge Doki for the belt. And just by the entrances, I thought Desperado had a cool entrance. Taiji Shimori looked great. Sho looked really good. But this entrance for Kosei Fujita with the new theme, with the anime opening VTR theme, just screams superstar for him. And the fact that the promotion presented him like that makes me hopeful for his future. Well, I was kind of let down by the end of the match, but at least for the future. The match of the story was very clear here. The three baby faces will try to take out Sho right away, and then just face each other until one of them stays down. And the issue was, of course, that while they were planning to do that, you always had the X Factor, and it was called Doki. As the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, who, of course, should be unbiased, was totally biased and interfered multiple times in the match together with Kanemaru, and then started with, in my opinion, the spot of the year, as Sho body slammed Ishimori on the referee. So House of Torture can run it for the Ultra Heat. We had Robbie X, Robbie Eagles, and Kukai clearing house for them, which was a great way to pay off the bullshit that happened in the Super Junior Tag League, and a funny way to use the money earned on the show, but good for them to get the paycheck. So with that, it was coming down to just the four wrestlers. And in the end, and I'm baffled to say that it was El Desperado winning the match as he becomes the new number one contender for the IWGP Junior title. And I was just like, you know what? F off. What do you need to say? It's always the exact same names going for the IWGP Junior title in recent years. And it's mostly the story just is Desperado wins the belt, defends it a ton of times against wrestlers he should lose to. Then he loses the belt. Someone else holds it for a little bit, but it all goes back to Desperado just wins it again. And you're always like, yeah, whatever. At some point, we have understood it. I think the only thing that holds the junior title back right now, and I'm not saying it's his fault, because he, in the end, but he, of course, has impact on certain things as the ace of the company. He is at least not making the top decision of just giving him the belt all the time. Giving him the belt all the time is just a waste of time for the entire junior division. We have already missed the time where Master Water should have won the title because we needed a 1-year reign of Hiroshi Tanahashi that ends with another, I think it was Ishimori run, right? No, it ends with another Desperado run to drop it to show for Desperado to win it back. Then Doki wins it, which was a great moment. We have okay, we have now a new babyface, and Desperado wins it anyways. And now we have Doki back as champion, and it will be 100% sure, we can be 100% sure that Desperado is going to win back the belt and hold it for another 6 months. It's tiring. It's so boring. And on top, what annoyed me as well, they made sure that Kazuchika looks bad ahead of the finish because Desperado pretty much saved him from getting pinned as Doki Show hit his finisher. Desperado pulled Show away, hits his own finisher for the 3 count. This guy is supposed to be your next babyface junior ace. Book him like that. The worst thing that can happen is that they miss the mark. And we are not quite there yet, and they missed it because he's still pretty young and he's still in the big spots. But he's at most 18 months away from getting Master Wild out. I need him to get his belt bad this year. I need him because he deserves it. The match itself was really whatever. The House of Torture interferences were not good and not well placed. The cleaning of it was just whatever. And when he won the belt, when Desperado won the match, it was like, that's it? Really? 7 minutes. I think the junior division deserves better than that. All the talents itself deserve much, much better than that. And I think one day, hopefully, we will have a time again in New Japan Pro Wrestling where the belt is in much better shape. Then we have entered the business end of the show. Never win title match. Evil against the debuting Everett Wolf. Everett Wolf enters first. And they played this drum. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. And they cut to Wolf in his G. And he reveals that he is not only bald, but also that he wears the black trunks of a young lion under it. And the crowd, when they saw it, erupted in the biggest pop that anyone but Tanahashi got on this night. Absolutely insane reaction for that. Him going bald and having a young lion gear on sends a clear message to the audience that he takes this seriously. He's not just there to get to the top spots. He wants to show that he is New Japan Pro Wrestling, that he believes in the line mark. And that was the best way to do it. That was absolutely the best way to do it. It was an incredible moment. Everyone lost their mind, and I can't blame them. Evil, on the other hand, counters it by just aura farming like crazy with no other on the show, with the guy playing the guitar with his fantastic look. And it was great to see. Evil deserves the best. He just has the charisma to carry himself like a top star, and he exactly did that. 2 years in a row, he had the best entrance on a Wrestle Kingdom show. The first minutes of this match alone were just electric, with both of them bumping each other and just throwing amazing elbows, and the crowd just absolutely goes nuts at them. The crowd in this match was amazing. And this match itself was incredible from the first moment until the very end. Seeing House of Torture trying to interfere time to time again, but Wolf just takes him out one after another, with the crowd absolutely going apeshit for everything he's doing. It's just incredible to watch. When he hit the high fly flow to a monster pop, I was screaming in my room. This guy has I was not sure how he's going to perform, but he proved everyone who had any kind of doubt in him after the last couple of months where he looked kind of weird, to be completely honest with you, in the segments. He proved all of them wrong. Every single one of them, because he performed much, much better than he did. In the end, Evil tries to do everything is Evil, but Everett Wolf counters it and chokes Evil out to overcome all the odds and win the never win title match in a monster match against Evil. Incredible match. I loved this from the very beginning until the very end. I think this was perfect. The perfect way to debut him of course, it's still unsure to say, okay, how is he going to perform on a day-to-day basis? Because none of us really knows how he's going to look against when you throw him against, I don't know, Shota Umino, Yuya Umura, Yoda Tsuji, Shingo Takagi, Zack Sabre Jr. You can name pretty much everyone up and down the card. You don't know. But I think in the isolation of, okay, throwing him against the House of Torture, this was the best way you pretty much could have done this match. This was legitimately a great, great debut match. In my opinion, at least. And it pays off pretty much the biggest risk that New Japan has taken on the entire show. And they can be lucky that it paid off, because it absolutely could have just flopped, because wrestling can just be like that. And with House of Torture, and especially with evil big-time matches, you always lean between too much and the perfect way. Often they go to, okay, that's way too much. Here, and also in a match last year against Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome, they just found the perfect way to mix House of Torture interferences with evil just wrestling normally. The future is just bright for Evan Wolf, and I'm excited to see what his era is going to be, because he is going to become one of the cornerstones of New Japan in the next couple of years. On the other side, shout out to Eel. What a guy. Only a handful of people, in my opinion, in the entire wrestling world, especially New Japan Pro Wrestling, would make Evan Wolf look as good as he did. Evil, who pretty much has a very serious character and often treats himself very seriously, has a side to him where he just is like, I know that this is not my spot. I know this is his spot. And this is exactly what he does all the time. He is always one of the people that works the young lions. While sometimes he beats them, in the end, it always feels like, okay, the young lions get a better over him. And he doesn't care how he looks in the end. Like, he was willing here, and that was the case for a couple of times now, but especially here, to pretty much make his entire stable, including himself, look like absolute geeks next to Evan Wolf. Evan Wolf pretty much beat all of their asses, except for one guy, and that's Don Fale, and I think Don Fale will be his first defense, which should be like a very funny way to start a never-win title run for Wolf. But no, shout out to Evil. He deserves it. This guy, we can think about his matches, his average matches, whatever we want. When he is in the Tokyo Dome, when he has the opportunity to put someone over, he does it in the best way possible. Really, this guy is much more important to New Japan behind the scenes and on screen than many people think they are. It will be interesting to see what Evan Wolf does in his first years of pro wrestling now. As a never-win champion, of course, he has the obvious match flow of just wrestling one big singles match per tour. But at some point, and I don't think it will be a new beginning, we need to get him out of the, okay, you will be protected by... You will be protected by House of Torture. You need to work on your own. And, of course, that will be interesting. In the end, regardless where he is in a position, we just gotta say, and it's always going to be the truth, he is still a rookie. This is his first match ever. We don't know how he's going to look in the G1 Climax, for example, where he has 8 or 9 or more high-caliber singles matches in a short period of time. And it will be interesting to see. I'm not going to doubt him after this performance, because why should I? He had a great match. He had, in my opinion, the sickest match of the night. And the performance he had was great. The crowd reaction he got was incredible. It was a total home run. So I'm not taking anything away from him. It's just going to be very interesting to see how he moves moving forward. And I'm interested in what he has going on in the next year or plus. Then we go to the semi-main event of the show, as we have the IWGP World Heavyweight x IWGP Global Heavyweight double title match between Konosuke Takeshita, who enters the match as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and Yota Tsuji as the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion. And the entrance alone were just great, with Takeshita and Tsuji just showing exactly why they are the two chosen to be in the match. I wonder how they felt in the moment, as the pressure of them being in the spot must weigh on them a lot more than it seemed like. For both, this is by far the biggest match of the career. They needed to deliver to show what New Japan will be in the future. Nobody else, except for maybe Aaron Wolf, but I think he knows how pressure is by just competing in Olympics, had it really as tough as them. Like, the main event was pretty much Tanahashi is going to do it anyways because he's Tanahashi. There was not much pressure there. And everything below them, outside of Never Won title match, was pretty much so whatever that it didn't really matter how they would perform. But these two needed to perform. Takeshita came out wearing a Nakamura's armband, one of his mentors, which was a pretty cool way to symbolize his presence on Tanahashi Final Night, as he sadly couldn't be there to take this away. Takeshita also said backstage that he wanted to be there, but he couldn't due to politics. We're not going to assume here whose fault it is, if it's AW's, WWE's, Nakamura's, Tanahashi's, New Japan's, TVSI's, Bushi Road, NWA, Jim Cornette, I don't care. In the end, it's just sad that he isn't there, but it was a cool way to show his presence on this very show. They went with the New Japan Tag Team big match situations following a very hot match, going slow until the crowd recovered from the loud reaction they had in the match prior, and they pick up the pace as the crowd recovered and slowly gets louder, which is an understandable choice because they followed Aaron Wolf's major debut match, which got amazing crowd responses. Once they went out of the face after around 50 minutes, the match was just great with fast counters, stick action, and the crowd just rooting for both of them. We, of course, more on the side of Tsuji than they were on Takeshita's, but they were really into this. And I think it showed you, okay, even though a lot of the wrestling fans likely were wrestlers that maybe have never seen them, they at least knew them, right? Or if they didn't knew them, by halfway through the match, they won them over, and that is a great achievement for both of them. The last 10 minutes with the counter sequences and the great near falls was just outstanding and incredible. For example, the Blue Thunder Bomb from the top rope into this running knee strike with Takeshita got me so good. I was so, okay, yeah, now that's it. And then Tsuji kicked out. I wanted to see Tsuji win so bad, and seeing him escape everything that Takeshita threw at him was just amazing. In the end, Yota Tsuji and Takeshita did pretty much the Osprey versus Danielson spot, where both of them were in the corner. Takeshita went for the knee strike. Yota Tsuji went for the G Blaster, and it was all about who is going to hit it first, because who is going to hit it first is going to win a match. And here, it was Yota Tsuji who hits the G Blaster, puts Takeshita in the Boston Crab in the middle of the ring, and Takeshita tries to escape, but can't, and tap out. An incredible finish to an incredible match, as Tsuji carries New Japan to a new era by using the finish of the Young Lions, by the move that he was trained first in the dojo, by a move that just is New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you think about New Japan Pro Wrestling, you think about Tanahashi, you think about Okada, but you also think about the Boston Crab. It's perfection. It's perfect storytelling. The best way, really, to end this match, a tremendous match. They delivered at all fronts. I thought the final, like I said, the final 50 minutes or so were out of this world, and they showed and they proved everyone they belong on the stage. They belong to fight for the world title. And with that, Yota Tsuji becomes the first new generation wrestler of New Japan Pro Wrestling to hold the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And it's a great moment as he's crowned now as a new generation ace. I love his offense. Yota Tsuji's offense is just incredible because his entire offense pretty much is focused on the gut work. And everything being worked so that the Gene Blaster, which is of course the finish, has the most effect possible, is such an easy way to build your match, but it also just is perfect. After the match, Yota Tsuji had a little bit of a promo, and then we had the downer. As Jake Lee jumped the ring, hit Takeshita, and planted him with the FBS, taking the IWGP World title in his hand and making it clear he is next. And I'm baffled. New Japan's go-to booking in the recent years has always been heat. And that goes back for nearly a decade now, of course, with all the Bullet Club stuff. And it obviously peaked with Kenta attacking Tetsuya Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 14 after his amazing moment, after his double title moment. But ever since, at like every second bigger show, we either have a challenger that is a heel, or we have someone coming out to challenge who is a heel or does something. And it feels like when Gedo has no idea what to do, he just looks at his booking sheet and says, heat, heat, heat. And then you do a heat segment. It's embarrassing. And it's not even Jake Lee's fault. I think they could have put everyone in there. Like they even could have put, I don't know, a legit fantastic wrestler that everyone loves in there. And people were like, read the room, people. Read just the room. And it's baffling. I don't know why they just didn't decide, okay, Yoda Tsuji gets this moment, but instead we are doing the heat. And it never works because the crowd is always disappointed. And Jake Lee challenging, I like Jake Lee a lot. It's like not the most interesting challenger coming out of Wrestle Kingdom, to be completely honest with you. I like Jake Lee. Like I said, I think Jake Lee has a lot more potential than many people make it seem like. And his matches, his main event matches, always deliver to me, at least most of them. So I'm really interested to see how his match against Tsuji is going to work. Is it the most exciting program for Yoda Tsuji in Osaka? I don't know. But it's a logical way to continue the Bullet Club War Dogs unaffiliated feud against the War Dogs. So I was kind of expecting that. I was tweeting in December 15th that everything points to United Empire versus War Dogs as a big feud coming out of the Tokyo Dome. And I quote, I wouldn't be shocked if Callum Newman versus Yoda Tsuji is the big program for Osaka. I was wrong here with Callum because I didn't expect that he's going to lose the leader role. But instead it's Jake Lee. I think if they did this exact same angle on New Year's Dash, I would have had no issue with it. I just personally wanted Yoda Tsuji to have this moment with the fans and just celebrate as the new world champion. But also it kind of is typical for a Naito student that he gets attacked during a post-match. So it kind of fits in that way as well. That being said, cool for Yoda Tsuji. Really happy for him. He deserves it. He was the one young guy that New Japan was always behind. They gave him the New Japan Cup. They gave him 2 global title runs, and now he's the world champion. What can you say? This dude is just absolutely crowned as a new generation leader. They made it very clear all the time. And I hope he's going to get a long run and he's going to fulfill the role as the top face really, really well. I'm super happy for him. He deserves this moment. For Takeshita, on the other side, I think, I had a lot of critics for him as champion. I don't think he was a good champion, but what he always did, and he did it in all of his defenses. It doesn't matter if it was where he won the belt, when he defended it against Goto, and when he, of course, dropped the belt. While he wasn't the most interesting champion for a storyline perspective, and that is really on him because he just wasn't there and he couldn't really do much. I think from a pure in-ring perspective, he just showed you why New Japan was really behind him. It's sad that his run ended the way it did, or like went the way it did with all the talks around him not being there and all of that. Because of course you would want a title run if you're giving him to Takeshita without any issues. But oh well, that's really how sadly things are. That being said, I hope he continues to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling. In some form, in some way. I don't need him to be the world champion anymore, to be honest. But he is so good that I just can't really complain about him being there in the first place. With that, we are moving on to the main event match. Hiroshi Tanahashi's final match against Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker. And I'm unsure how to really talk about this match because I'm recording this around 2 hours after the match ended. I'm still on a very much a high and emotional down. This was just incredible. The entrances alone, just to talk about them real quick, felt big. The crowd pops for Okada's coin drop, and then Curiosity plays his new AW theme. And it was like, what the hell is going on now? And got cried, which was kind of funny. He comes out in all of black with the AW Continental title. Meanwhile, Tanahashi walks out in white for his final entrance with the Young Lion mark on his knee pad. That was the first time I was like nearly tearing up. And it's very Tanahashi that his final match isn't anything big, but just a simple walkout. He isn't the ego-driven guy that, as an example, KT Muta is. He is normal. He doesn't care. He's selfless. He just doesn't care. He just wants to go out there and entertain the fans. And I think the entrance, of course, it could have been bigger, of course. But it feels like perfect to what Tanahashi is as a wrestler, if that makes sense. And funny enough, whenever they cut to Okada was like really emotionally tearing up. His poker face was like so dreadful, but in a good way. Someone was like clearly seeing how much this meant to him, and I think it was cool to see. For the match, I'm speechless. I'm taking this away. I think this is an all-time classic, and there's nothing that can convince me otherwise. From the very first moment on until the very end, I was so into this. I was hyped. I was just experiencing this masterclass. And when we're talking about masterclass, I'm not only talking about Tanahashi's performance, but also Kazuchika Okada. His greatest strength in wrestling is his ability to control a match to the point where it's slow but interesting, and it's never been more of an advantage as it was in this match. Hiroshi Tanahashi in 2026 isn't the best in-ring worker of all time. His body is beyond cook. His knees are done. His knees are completely done, to be honest. I need to repeat it. His knees are done. But he wants to show in his last Tokyo Dome match ever, in his last pro wrestling match ever, in the Tokyo Dome main event, that he can go. And for that, Kazuchika Okada is the perfect opponent to get the most out of him. His heel work was just great. As were his cut-offs to the comeback spots of Tanahashi. Like, the way he just controlled the pace and just slowed it down when it felt like, okay, Tanahashi was going too fast, so to speak, in kayfabe, was just cool. And it made it interesting because the crowd really wanted to see the comeback spots of Tanahashi. And Okada was like, nah, I'm going to slow it down. We are going to back to the hold. Around the first big moment was when Tanahashi just decides to spring the high fly attack to the outside. And that was the moment where, like, I nearly was tearing up during the match. He is giving it all for everyone one final time. I called this in the preview that I want this to happen, and it did happen. It made me, like, very happy. The best moment of the match, of at least to present Kazuchika Okada's heel work, for example, was when he went for the Rainmaker pose, but did the middle finger as the entire Tokyo Dome crowd booed the hell out of him. That, and what shortly happened after, where he tombstone Tanahashi on the stage as the crowd just erupts in boos. That led to a fantastic counter tease that followed. Oh my god. The entire audience cheered for Tanahashi to get up and get back into the ring, and it got louder the closer it got to 20. Tanahashi barely made it. Okada realized it, hit the spinning tombstone, pinfall attempt, but picked him up at 2 as the crowd boos. Discus Rainmaker, once again, 1, 2, picked him up. And at that point, it was like, this is the best Kazuchika Okada performance in years, and that says a lot because this man had legitimately all-time classics. And I'm not talking about his time in AEW, or like just his time in AEW, but also his time in New Japan as well. I rarely can remember a match where Okada was this good. And it's not taking away from any other performance Okada had. His performance against the matches, of course, against Tanahashi, the matches against Shibata, Marufuji, Naito, Ibushi, you can mention Kenny Omega, you can mention all of them. I think this performance here ranks at least above maybe 80-90% of them in terms of big matches. Absolutely incredible performance by him. He then went for the Rainmaker, but Tanahashi countered Rainmaker into his own Rainmaker. And shortly after, Tanahashi get hit with the Rainmaker of Okada. 1, 2, and Tanahashi kicks out. Okada sees it and puts a Boston Crab right after, which worked even more when you remember the finish of Takeshita versus Tsuji. But unlike Takeshita, who tapped out, Tanahashi found a way to escape the young line finisher. They then teased the sling bait for a little bit before Tanahashi finally hit it. Tana then locks in the sleeper hold. The Rainmaker slowly goes down, and Tanahashi walks to the rope and hits Shibata's PK. Then he teased the taunt of Shinsuke Nakamura and hit the Bomaye to an absolute cheer from the audience. Goes up to the high fly flow, connects with it. 1, 2, kick out by Okada. And in that moment, I was done. I was legitimately tearing up. And I don't tear up a lot during matches, mostly after, but not during. And he was like, just done with my emotions. And Tana just went for another high fly flow, hits it on the back, then goes for the third one, gets countered by Okada with the knees up. And they slowly recovered with elbow exchanges as the crowd just goes apeshit over them. Okada, when Tanahashi tried to go once again for the sling blade, hits him with a drop kick and goes for the tombstone. But it gets countered. Tanahashi goes for the tombstone, but Okada counters it into the goddamn Destino and does the Nitro pose. And from then on was just done. I was already done, from then on was just done. And he goes for the Rainmaker, hits it, and I was like, okay, this is over. Reggie Uno's reaction was very much clear, and as he covers his eyes and with his hands across his in front of his face, and was like, okay, that was it. 1, 2. Tanahashi kicks out once again, and I was done. I was already done way before. I was done. Once again, I was insane. I was speechless by that point on. Tanahashi tries to power up one final time, but gets hit with a body slam, the elbow drop, and then Okada did the actual Rainmaker pose for the first time in over 2 years to a monster pop of the audience. Hits another Rainmaker, and it's over. Kazuchika Okada beats Hiroshi Tanahashi in 33 minutes in an absolute classic. This is arguably the best match of all time. And alone the fact that Okada at the end needed to come back as a true Rainmaker to finally beat Tanahashi. Oh, man, this is one of the best things I've ever watched. I'm not discussing with anyone if they are saying this is the greatest wrestling match of all time. The emotions, the storytelling inside the match, the near falls, the crowd, everything was perfect. I was legitimately speechless at points. I was just proud of what I've seen. I'm proud of Tanahashi that was he able to have one last match like that. This guy is the greatest wrestler of all time. He had maybe the greatest babyface performance of all time, and maybe the greatest match of all time. An absolute all-time classic. An absolute best match of the year. I don't think any match will top this. I was in tears. I'm in tears right now. I think you can hear it. I'm so emotional talking about this match because Tanahashi means so much to me. I don't think I've said it at the beginning. I don't think any one of us would be here. I don't think any one of you would be watching my videos. I don't think I would have made this video or like start content creation in the whole if it wasn't for Tanahashi. Tanahashi means the world to me. And seeing him go out there in his final match and having this performance in front of a sold-out Tokyo Dome was just amazing to see. And I'm just so happy. Okada. No one ever disrespects Okada again. I have seen people disrespect Okada a couple of years. He doesn't try much. He won't show up. He will do bits at Tokyo Dome. No, he didn't. He was the greatest he has been in maybe ever. What a performance by him. What a performance by Tanahashi. They did the dance. I was tweeting out, I don't think it's a low chance, not a low chance. There's not a non-zero chance that it will be a 5-star classic. I was counting in emotion factor to it because, of course, emotion factor was counting into it. But, and I will say this, of course, the emotional factor helped this match a lot. But even without the emotional factor in it, this was a true masterpiece, and it was the greatest send-off you can expect for the greatest Japanese wrestler of all time. I think this would have been a 5-star classic in the Tokyo Dome, even if it wasn't a retirement match. And this says a lot. The retirement match boost, of course, with the crowd, with everything, helped this match to get to an even bigger level. But, man, this is one of the best things I've ever seen in pro wrestling. Thank you to Hiroshi Tanahashi. Thank you to Kazuchika Okada for this performance, for this match. With that, we are reaching the retirement ceremony, and we of course had first Kitani coming out, everything like that, whatever. And then the first he played, and it was Switchblade Jay White. And he returns after leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's officially, banned from New Japan Pro Wrestling, but here he was able to return to go to Tanahashi and say thank you to him. And that is a cute moment because Tanahashi helped him a lot in this early stage of his career, was his first Wrestle Kingdom opponent post his return. And of course, was the one to put him over to win his first IWGP Heavyweight title. Jay White would never be there where he is right now in AEW if it wasn't for Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi helped him so much, and I think him being there was such a great moment. I'm so happy for him. The next one coming out and that was announced was Will Ospreay, which was also a cool moment because he and Tanahashi, of course, shared the moment a couple of times in the ring and everything. That was cool to see. Then it was followed by the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega with Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi was definitely not really walking well, but it was cool to see him. It was also, to mention it, very funny that when he was helped outside of the ring, it was out of everyone, it was Kikuchi who he was shooting to when he fell out with New Japan in the first place. Man, cool moment to see both of them there. That was awesome. Then Shibata's theme started to play, and Tanahashi just bawled his eyes out, and they started to lock up inside the ring and chopped each other before hugging. Fantastic moment as well. Oh, God. Man, so cool to see the two Musketeers together here. Then we had Keiji Muto, Tatsumi Fujinami coming out together back to back as the Legends, which was like, whatever. Cool legends to be there. Very cool. Both of them New Japan legends. It was not whatever, to be honest. I'm sorry for saying it like that. But in the sense of, I don't have much to say about it. It was cool to be there. I think Keiji Muto was definitely mad that he wasn't able to sell so many tickets at Tokyo Dome. But yeah, that is just me. And then it appeared that everyone's there. They all got out, excluding Tanahashi was standing like last in the ring. But the camera was still visibly on the entrance. So I was waiting to see, okay, who comes out. And it was pretty obvious as the theme of Tetsuya Naito plays. And the crowd just erupted one last time in cheers. First, it was Bushi. He aura thumb with the GG Heavyweight Tag Team title. Then it was Naito who comes out to his new theme song as Los Tranquilos de Japón. And they took their time. And it was like a funny thing, right? He was just aura-firing, cut a little bit of a promo, did a post together with Tanahashi and left. And I was like thinking about, okay, how the hell did the conversation go? Hey, Tanahashi, can you go up to Tanahashi's retirement match? We don't want you to sign you to a deal, but can you be there anyway? And he was like, sure. But all I want to do is, I want to aura farm. I want my current theme to play. I was my last theme to play, then to fake it out with Bushi. And I want to cut the promo. And was like, okay, you know what? Fair. Who can blame them? Dude, this guy deserves it. It's much better than watching him wrestling. Now, jokes aside, him being there was an awesome moment. He absolutely deserves to be there. He should be there. And it was awesome to see. Then the show ends with Tanahashi cutting a little bit of a promo, doing all the Tanahashi stuff that you would expect him to do, the air guitar, and going around the fans. Before his 10 count bell rings, he just was in tears. The crowd was pretty much screaming at him. I think some of them hoped that he would just say, "I'm not, please don't retire." But he did retire. The 10 count hits. Tanahashi, with that, is officially retires. He was going all around to pretty much everyone, and man, this guy is God. I think he's God. He's the greatest ever. Seeing him just being cheered on by pretty much everyone while he gets carried around with this car thing was so awesome to see. He deserves it. He ends, of course, the night with this typical "I'm Aishimasu, I love you" catchphrase, and disappears in the fog because he's going to heaven. That is how I interpret it. And then high energy played as we showed a little bit of a career promo package of Tanahashi. And I gotta say, I'm sorry that the video in the end was kind of like weird. I'm just super emotional. The last 10 minutes or so, the last 50 minutes or so, which is me having emotional react, but the last 2 hours, including from the entrance on from Hiroshi Tanahashi, were some of the best wrestling moments I've seen ever, maybe. And this guy just deserves this. This guy deserves the send-off that he got. This guy is, like I said, one of the greatest ever. And he once again showed that retirement ceremonies in Japan are just incredible. Well, they always have a sad touch to it because, man, Tanahashi is retiring. They always tell the history of a wrestler to perfection. We have seen that with Tanahashi itself. We've seen that with Meika Satomura. We've seen it with Tamakano, who had their own twist to it. We've seen it with Keiichi Muto, Sudoku Kato. It doesn't matter. They're just always beautiful to watch because they represent what the wrestler stands for and they represent what the wrestler is. And that is what always Japanese wrestling will have over American wrestling. The emotional connection to these wrestlers is just on another level. I was just happy to see that. To have a little bit of a show review. How do I feel overall about the show? It's tough to really judge it, to be completely honest with you. I think outside of the junior title match, I think everything was at least good, if not very good. Well, excluding maybe the made 6-man title match. I really liked the Joshi title match. I really liked the 10-man tag team match. The Openweight title match was great. The IWGP World title match was great. And the main event was an all-time classic. How do I go walking out of the show? I don't know. Like, legitimately, I don't know. And I think it doesn't matter because the last 2 hours, like I said, was some of the best wrestling I've seen in a very long time. And that is what matters in the end. Does it really matter to anyone what happened in match number 2 on the show? Like, if we look back on the show, and it was always going to be the thing, this was I always said about the show in general. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening because whatever happens, Tanahashi will make me happy. His match will make me happy. His post-match will make me feel something and will go out of the show feeling something. And I did. Whatever happens with New Japan next is something that we'll see tomorrow. And I think in terms of the big 2 matches, well, big 3 matches, we counted the retirement match, they just hit a home run. Wolf looked fantastic. Yodatsuji wins the world title. And Tanahashi had such a great performance that you're questioning why he's even retiring in the first place, because he looked like the best wrestler on this entire show. Overall, I would say we will see tomorrow and in the next couple of months how New Japan is going to recover from losing Hiroshi Tanahashi. I don't think we can say about this right now, and I don't think we can make a big thing about, okay, how does this show really mean much? Because in the end, you can't talk about the show without mentioning the 2-hour part of Hiroshi Tanahashi, and I think you've got to include this. In terms of show ratings, I think with the ceremony included, with everything around Hiroshi Tanahashi, you can't go lower, in my opinion, than a 9 for my taste, because like I said, I love the top 3. I think the retirement ceremony made this show that is just must watch. But I would also say that coming out to the show, and that was always a scary thing for me, you remember more than Tanahashi. As I said, I think the women's title match was good enough, like long enough and enjoyable enough that you definitely will remember that. The entire thing around Aaron Wolf will be remembered. The other two winning title will be remembered. The Jake Lee angle will be remembered, and the main event anyway. So I think overall it was a successful show, and now New Japan needs to follow up. Tomorrow is a very important show, and I think the more important show is New Beginning, because that will actually show how big shows of New Japan Pro Wrestling will look like post Tanahashi. And I hope they have a great card plan for that. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom. I hope you will continue watching New Japan Pro Wrestling even without Tanahashi. Please let me know what are your opinions on the show. I really want to know that, because I want to see, okay, how do you feel about this whole thing? And of course, we got to talk about Tanahashi there, but also please let me know about anything else on the show. I want to see, how is your feeling for New Japan coming out of the show? Did it help your hype, or are you similar to me where like, this was a fantastic show, but also what is going to mean for the future? It's tough to say. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like and comment down below. Bye-bye.